So last week I received an email from one of you guys, one of my viewers, asking for quite a lot of things, but mainly some raid leading advice. And what I want to do here is I want to read this email that was sent to me to you guys, and then as we go through it, I want to touch on and answer some of the questions and comments and discussion points posed within this email. Now, if you're watching this specifically, or even if you're listening to it, I want to warn you, this email is pretty damn long. So this is going to be a lengthy video, but keep that in mind that yeah, at first I was kind of hesitant to read through this whole thing. But as I kept reading it and looking at it and thinking about how I wanted to structure this video, there are just so many good points, so many good topics that I felt that reading through it and touching on them as we go through the topics would be the best way to handle it. So, email starts off, "Hey Edipark, I hope it's okay in sending you an email. This didn't fit into the YouTube message limit." Well, yeah, no kidding. This email is friggin' huge. For those of you that are hesitant to send me an email, contact me, please don't. Please don't hesitate. I love getting messages from you guys. I love getting emails from you guys, even though it was a surprise every single time I've gotten an email. I love talking to you guys. I love having discussions with you guys. I would love to do a ton more videos like this. If I could make this a regular occurrence on the channel, I would gladly do so. I love doing videos like this. So email continues, "I'm a newbie raid leader and I found your videos super useful. Most WoW videos tend to be about a class or dungeon guides, etc. I found very similar engaging discussions on other aspects of WoW." And yeah, exactly. Thank you. I love some of the other big YouTube channels that are out there. I love some of the more general videos that are out there when it comes to this game. And a lot of the YouTubers out there make some great content. A lot of them is a hell of a lot better than mine. But you're exactly right. That it is few and far between to find a channel devoted, at least a good portion of it, to raid leading and raiding in general. Not just rehashing the news and etc. and talking about lore, but just raiding and raid leading and taking charge and leadership. And that's what this channel is all about. So yes, thank you again. Email continues, "I'm writing you for general advice. I don't necessarily expect an answer, but maybe it will inspire you for a video or something." So again, I would love to make you guys the promise, and I will say this. I love doing these videos. If you message me and you want me to talk about something that seems legit, you email me, you want me to talk about something that's legit, about a topic that obviously correlates to this channel, I'm going to make a video. I may not directly reach out to you and go, here's what I think, but I'm going to make a video. I try to answer every single comment that's on the channel. Of course, let's say hypothetically that next month, I bump up to 10 million subscribers and I'm getting email after email after email. Well, may not be able to do it, or we may have to find a new format for it. But I promise you guys that I will do my damnedest to continue to put out content if you guys are willing to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or probably by the length of this video or this email, 30 minutes to write me an email. And I only jest. I kid, because the email is fan-fucking-tastic. So again, do not hesitate. Continue to do this if you guys want to reach out to me. So, email continues. "My guild is a social raiding guild. We're pretty casual, but we do raid at least twice a week nowadays." Keyword nowadays. "We have many great players, and a lot of them used to raid lead in previous expansions, some as part of hardcore world first guilds, etc. But they got burnt out, stopped playing for a bit, and then got curious about Legion, wanted to see the raids, even if they wanted to take a more casual approach to them." Not uncommon. If you are doing anything less than the most hardcore world first race type content, you're going to see this, where people go, "Look, I was in a mythic guild, we were doing, 8 out of 8, 10 out of 10, 12 out of 12, whatever. And we were raiding 3, 4, 5 days a week, and we were doing split runs, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't keep up. And I want to clear content. I want to have that feeling of killing a boss for the first time. But I just can't sustain that lifestyle." And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with it. There's a reason why they are world first guilds that have sponsors and have, all this stuff and all this notoriety and et cetera, because they can take 3 weeks off from work and they can raid for 12, 14, 16 hours a day. There's nothing wrong with taking a slower pace to it. Hell, hello, that's what I do. So email continues. In ICOM, I've played other MMORPGs, but never for more than a few months and never World of Warcraft. I got curious a few months ago and I decided to give it a try. I ended up in this guild. They needed a raid healer, and I guess I was doing a decent enough job in dungeons, so they asked me to be part of the raiding team. Awesome. If you are finding pleasure, if you are happy in the raiding scene, then I'm so glad that you jumped in. So email continues. Soon after, I kind of unofficially became the heal lead because I was super interested in other healing classes. I made alts to learn their abilities and politely suggested task distribution. I can't read. Distributions for various raid encounters, which usually turned out to be good ideas. Previously, it was more of a every healer for himself type situation. Since I was online often and generally helpful, I was promoted to the rank of officer. Again, awesome. If this is something that you want to do, then amazing. Great. I'm glad that you have taken that leap forward into a leadership role. This is exactly what I mentioned when I talk about two things: initiative and tact. You saw that there was some type of hole that needed to be filled. Something wasn't getting done, and you did it. You filled that position. You filled that role. You weren't told to do so. That is initiative. You saw that the healers needed some guidance, and you did just that. Now, it seems like the way you've written your email that you weren't doing it with this maniacal, cackling, ha ha ha, I'm going to get promoted. But instead you're like, we could probably do a little bit better if you use your cooldowns here, here, and here, and you use your cooldowns here, here, and here, and instead of, this kind of wild, wild west free-for-all, healers do whatever the hell they want to do. That is amazing. Now, the second thing here, tact. You politely said, hey, maybe if we used, you used your cooldown here, and for the second part, phase 2, you use your cooldown, and then for phase 3, you guys use it. And then if you're able to, however you did it tactfully, politely, respectfully. That's the way to do it. Even if you are not in a leadership position, there's nothing wrong with being tactful. If you want to get shit done, you got to be polite. People don't respond well when you go, hey, you big dummy, why don't you use your cooldown? No, that's not the way to do it. But hey, man, do you think you use a revival once that ability goes off for the boss? Oh, yeah, sure, cool, okay, whatever. Great, amazing. That is exactly what I'm talking about. So, email continues. Our main raid leader is a great guy. He has lots of WoW experience, and he does a great job of explaining tactics and calling stuff out during raids. But he's only willing to raid lead once a week, and as it is a stressful and time-consuming thing. However, many of the guildmates want to raid more often. They want to do alt runs, etc. Nobody's willing to organize this stuff. So, a few weeks ago, I figured, what the hell? I'll give it a try. Most of our players already knew the raid well. All I needed to do was set up a calendar invite people to the raid, and potentially explain tactics to the new players. With the blessing of the officers, I set this up and it went quite well. Now we officially raid twice a week or more. So I have a few big issues here with what I just read. You have a guy in charge, a raid leader, presumably the guild leader, who wants to raid once a week. But the majority of your raiders, or maybe all of them, want to raid more often. They want to do harder content. They want to do more content. They want to raid on alts. Yeah, being in a leadership position is stressful. Yes, being in a leadership position, whether you're a raid leader, an officer, the guild leader, it doesn't matter. It is time consuming. You, the guild leader, that raid leader guy, the rest of your, leadership, you guys need to sit down right the fuck now and talk. If the guild wants to raid more often and this guy cannot commit, he needs to hand that mantle of leadership off to someone else. It doesn't have to be you. It doesn't have to be one of the other officers. It needs to go to someone else, or he needs to step his ass up and start doing his job. Now, here's the thing, and here's what the rest of your officers, who the hell knows where they're at, because it seems like you're the only one putting in any work, by the way. So here's something that those guys and you need to realize. It's not about who's in charge. It's about what the group as a whole wants. If he is the guild leader, but he's not doing his job, then he's not leading the guild. He can be the guy that is the guild leader that puts someone else in charge if he's willing to defer to that person when it comes to the raid. But I don't know that would be as successful. So what I'm saying here is, This guy needs to either step up or step out. Simply put, you need to talk to your officers. You need to talk to this guild leader as a whole. You guys need to sit down and have a very frank, a very blunt, a very uncomfortable discussion about what the guild wants and what people are willing to put in. And if they're not willing to do the jobs that they have said they want to do or they've been assigned to do, i.e., be the raid leader, be the guild leader, be an officer that supports the raid leader, they need to go away or they need to step up. Email continues, on to Antorus. Everyone wanted to see it, but our main raid leader was super busy this week and worried he may not be available during raid times at all. So he asked me to lead the progression one too. I did my best. I watched and read all the guides I could find to make sure I understood the encounters. I also tried to plan out some guild-specific tactics based on what I know of other people's classes, individual abilities, etc. Now, this person goes on to say, this guy has good awareness, so they should pop shields during the council fight. This guy has problems with DPS, so he should probably jump in the pod for the council fight. DPS isn't an issue. This guy zones out, but is good DPS, so just leave him on the boss. I even went against the general wisdom at times. Example given, which weapon to kill during the Garathi Worldbreaker encounter, the first boss in Antorus. We had a ton of soaking experience from Kill Jayton and quickly picked up Avatar on heroic difficulty, but we maybe sometimes had issues with positioning, so it made sense to go against the guy, which is to kill the left weapon, the Annihilator, I think it is, first. Either way, it went reasonably well. We managed to kill all but the last boss and almost had that one too, even if it took us a couple of days. I wanted the first day to be a free-for-all, minimum requirements, let's go and see the raid type thing, with the second one to be a usual raiding team only, we can make good progression. We still managed to one-shot the first two bosses on day one, and even if some people were undergeared or not that experienced with raiding. Most of my ideas worked out, and when they didn't, I listened to others' suggestions. We adapted them and made it through the content. Some people told me I did a good job, and nobody offered direct criticism. Fantastic. It's obvious that your raid leader thought that you were a capable person to get the job done. You jumped in, you did it, and while you and maybe the others in your raid group didn't get as far as you guys wanted to, you handled everything correctly. So now, as I'm looking through my notes here for this video, and as I'm kind of talking to you and to the rest of you guys watching this video or listening to it, there's a couple more points I wanted to bring out here. The first one is you kept in mind what your raid and what your raiders could and could not do. And you went against general wisdom at times, which weapon to kill during the Worldbreaker encounter. That's leadership, baby. That right there is leadership. Now, the second thing is you said that even when your ideas didn't work, that you took ideas, criticism, suggestions, etc. Again, that's leadership. It doesn't matter who you are. If you are in a leadership position, you cannot know it all. You can't. You need to rely on your other officers, the guys that are in charge with you. You need to listen to what's going on. That's why I've talked about if you're dying to a boss 2 or 3 times, instead of putting in another poll and, quickly wiping, maybe take a few minutes to go, okay, guys, what's killing us? Does somebody not understand anything? Can we change something up? Are the cooldowns an issue? Is the bloodlust an issue? What's going on? Just let's talk about it for a few minutes so that we're not making the same stupid mistake, so that we're not hoping that we get lucky. And you're doing just that. It's obvious that you're doing a great job. You handled everything correctly, even if you didn't get as far as you wanted to. Email continues. However, I do feel a bit self-conscious for several reasons. A couple of people new to the guild left after we didn't finish the raid on the first night, as they managed to finish it with a pug and were disappointed in our overall performance. I often wondered if our main raid leader was leading it. Maybe we would have killed more on that first night. I'm terrible at calling stuff out mid-battle, and even if I'm getting much better at it, I did manage to stand in crap and die once because of it, and my reaction times were a bit slower overall. Or maybe I shouldn't have made it free-for-all and instead been strict, only inviting our best players, since we did an amazing job on that second day. So again, as I'm going through here, and I do have some things that I want to mention, but you need to realize, and everyone needs to realize, if you're focusing 110% on killing a boss, of course your performance is going to be great. But when you start looking at killing the boss plus timers, plus who's alive, plus cooldowns, plus calling stuff out, plus, who just disconnected from Discord, plus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, yes, your performance is going to be affected. That's just a simple fact. So after sitting down with the leadership and having that blunt and very uncomfortable discussion of, look, man, you're not doing the job that you said you were going to do. The guys want to raid more. Can you handle that? Can you lead us? Or you need to hand this mantle of leadership off to somebody else. That's, again, the first discussion you need to have. And it needs to be with every single officer that is charged in a leadership position. The second one that you need to do is you need to sit down with your entire raiding group. And you need to set expectations and be straight with them. Look, I just jumped into this role. I'm trying my best. I'm new to raid leading, but obviously I'm doing a decent job. You guys seem to like me. I want to continue doing this. But there are going to be times where we falter, where we fall, where we don't have a perfect, job. So if you guys want to continue raiding, here's what I offer. And you need to set those expectations so that nobody thinks that they are going to get something then they didn't sign up for. And you may have a few people that leave after that. But as long as everybody knows what they are signing up for, new players and old, and now the new players, now that you're in a leadership position, taking charge and leading the raid, again, talk to them like I've mentioned in previous videos, but everybody knows what they're going to get. You're going to falter, you're going to have issues, but you need to talk to your raid group. I think I mentioned in a video way back when about how when I was promoted very abruptly, very much to my surprise, back in Mists of Pandaria to the guild leader, that my raid group sat down for a good hour, during raid night. We were supposed to pull the first trash pack at like 9 o'clock, and we sat down and talked till like 10:30 about expectations. What did they want to do? What did I want to do? Etc. And it was not a fun conversation, but it was a necessary conversation. And you need to do that. You really do. Now, the fact is that you can't and you should not wonder if the main raid leader, if this guy was here, we would have done better. What could we have done? Because the fact is, he wasn't there. He hasn't been there. He has not been doing his job. So it doesn't matter whether he was there or not, because he wasn't there. Sit down, talk to everyone before that first pull, lay out what everyone wants, what everyone expects, and if it aligns to what you and your other officers want to do, can do, are willing to do, then get it done. Somebody does need to be in charge. Somebody needs to be that final, arbitrator that says, here's what we're going to do. Maybe you, maybe not be you. But somebody needs to be there. And everybody else needs to support that person. It's clear that that raid leader that you mentioned is not doing his job. He may be in charge, but he's not in charge. Now, you do need to remember one thing, and I've commented on it several times here. You are not alone as a leader. My guild, for example, has myself as a guild leader and the raid leader, and I'm supported by my 2 officers when we are and are not in a raid. I have split responsibilities, and I've talked about this in previous videos, so that not one person is overwhelmed. Not one person is doing too much. As I've said in previous videos, if you feel overwhelmed, if one of your officers feels overwhelmed, if things are getting dropped, someone else needs to pick it up. Now, if you, again, as I recap that other video, it's pretty easy. If you find that you have officers that are overwhelmed, a new officer needs to be promoted. If you have officers that aren't getting shit done, one of them needs to go away. You need to find that lucky balance. And again, you may not be in the end of the day the one that's making that decision, but somebody needs to make it, and it's obviously not that raid leader. So you continue to say, I'm also a bit self-conscious about being the new leading veterans. I think I'm an above average player, but some of the people are way better than me. So it feels a bit weird telling them what to do. They do listen and tell me I'm doing a good job, but I know they would be better at it. I try to tell myself, yeah, but they're not willing to. My noob advantage is being enthusiastic and excited about the game, and being willing to put in the time to study encounters, other classes, pour over log files to see what went wrong, etc. So here's the big secret about leadership. Someone's always going to be better than you. I'm not the best player. I'm not the best healer. I'm not the best tank. I'm not the best DPSer. You're not the best. Simply put, there are so many different directions your brain is going in when it comes to raid leading. You simply cannot be the best. No one's expecting you to be the best, though. Think about it. When I was out in Iraq, was my captain, did he know more than me when it came to kicking in doors? Maybe book-wise. He could spout off, this lecture or this book or this research paper or something. But when it came to actually doing it, it was me kicking in doors, not him. When you look at some big business, the CEO, can he ring up a customer, on a cash register? Can he take phone calls and be proficient at it? Can he, help somebody? Can he do anything that I hate to say a normal person could do, but no, he couldn't do it. His set of skills comes in when there are problems, when there are things that needed to be decided, when there are call outs that need to be made, when problems need to be fixed. That's the job of the CEO. That's the job of the raid leader. They're there to ensure the smoothness of that raid, of that guild, of that business. Don't worry about these guys. If they don't like it, they wouldn't stick around. They obviously think you're doing a good job. You seem to be doing a good job by everything that you said. They're listening to you. They're saying you're doing a good job. Don't worry about it. You are in that position for a reason. Now, you continue to say, I guess it also doesn't help that I'm a rather shy woman. However, I do feel that all the guildies who have gotten to know me respect me as a good player, and they don't really treat me any differently, except maybe being nicer and more tolerant of me making mistakes. It's funny. I read this email a good 5 to 8 times, and I've probably gone through this video recording this probably a lot more than 5 to 8 times. And it took me a while to realize that you said you're a woman. These guys shouldn't be treating you any differently, and you shouldn't let them. You're in charge. The simple fact is you are in charge of this raid, of this guild. Don't let the power get to you. Don't let it get to your head. Don't get crazy, but don't be a pushover either. If they're being a jerk, if they're being an asshole in the raid, correct it, but don't do it to a point where you're going, I'm in charge. You do what I say. Something that I learned and I've read and I've seen, and I have to see who said it. If you have to tell people you're in charge, if you have to remind people you're in charge, you're not in charge. That's my advice for that. So the email continues, there's no problem to fix. I'm mainly curious if you have any advice in general for newbie raid leaders who end up taking charge of veterans. So here is the meat 24, 23 minutes into the video. My advice to you as a new raid leader, regardless of your gender, taking charge of players who have been around the block for quite a long time. I'll tell you that when I got into the Marine Corps, way back when now, when I moved into the private sector when it came to getting a job, I was promoted fairly quickly into a leadership position at the place that I currently work at. I had guys that had been there for 10 years reporting to me when I was there for 3-4 years. I had guys that were 10, 15 years older than me that were reporting to me. I was in a similar position. We've all been in that position. If you're in a leadership position, if you're taking charge, my advice is this: take charge. You are doing what you are doing because of some certain reason, and so are they. Maybe it's a gene, maybe it's a switch, maybe you're born with it, maybe you learn it, I don't know. But I truly believe that some people are meant to lead others and want to lead others. And some people are okay with not being in a leadership position. There's nothing wrong with either one of those. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO of a big business or the expert on a particular system. As long as you as a person, as a player, as an employee, as long as you're happy. The same with the guild, the same with the raid group. If you're that big dick DPS player that's happy with killing things, not worrying about attendance and DKP, etc., do it. If you want to take charge and lead a raid group, do it. So email continues. and actually wraps up here. I find your videos really encouraging because I often find myself thinking, yep, I'm already doing that, which reinforces the fact that I'm not that terrible at it. No, you're doing fine. It gives me food for thought if you suggest something I'm not already doing. Great. That's exactly what this series is about, what this channel is about. So I'm always curious to hear your take on these things, particularly on what I may be doing wrong, since people are often reluctant to give constructive criticism. Thanks for reading and keep making awesome videos. So thank you. One, for sending me this email. Two, for letting me go through and butcher some of the words and give my commentary on it. For you and anybody else, if something comes up, don't hesitate to reach out to me. But there are a few kind of last points that I want to make here. You should be evaluating yourself. What did I fuck up on? What did I do right? Did I, when there was this call out to be made, or somebody's doing something, did I make the right call? And you need to take a few minutes. You need to talk with your ulcers. That's something that my group does. That after every single rate night, even if it's 30 seconds or if it may be 10, 15 minutes, we will take the end of the rate night. The raid ends at midnight, and for the next few minutes, we're in that ulcer channel in Discord going, all right, guys, you got anything for me? Here's what I do and don't like that you did, and what do you guys have for me? Are you okay? Is something going on? Healing seemed a little bit rough. How are the tanks doing? This guy has some issues that we may need to sit him. We may need to get rid of this guy. We need to swap this, whatever. Self-reflection, reflecting on your group. But yes, this channel is all about discussion, sparking some discussion. So if something comes up, let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Now, as far as constructive criticism, that is probably one of the biggest issues that I've had in leading is, people are very reluctant to say, dude, you suck at this. And you may need to be very blunt and go, look, guys, I'm looking for some feedback. What do you guys like and not like about me? Again, talk to your raid group, evaluate, hey guys, we've been raiding, we've been doing this for a few months now. Is there anything you'd like for me to change? Is there something you guys want me to do more, less, etc.? Talk to your guild, talk to them in a non-confrontational way, whether it's at the end of the night, end the raid 15 minutes early and talk, or, before the raid starts, go, look guys, we're about to go into Taurus. We've been raiding for 2 weeks now with me as the raid leader. What do you guys like and not like? Talk to your group and figure it out. If anything comes up for you guys, for anybody else, again, I'll say it for the bazillionth time, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And until next time, guys, I'll see you.